Taoiseach, I want to warmly welcome the Government's decision to recognise the State of Palestine. The Social Democrats have long called for the Government to match its strong words on the carnage in Gaza with action, and this is a powerful move which sends a commanding message. That message is one of hope, peace, justice and freedom for an imprisoned Palestinian people being massacred by a brutal occupier. I also want to pay tribute to the many tens of thousands of Irish people who have fought for the Government to take this step. Every weekend, in every corner of the country, in cities, towns, villages and college campuses, people have marched in support of the Palestinian people and demanded an end to the ongoing genocide. The Irish people's solidarity with the Palestinian people is unbreakable. It's long past time this solidarity was formally acknowledged by our Government with recognition of the State of Palestine. My only wish is that it happened sooner. It's now 8 months into this conflict, with nearly 130,000 Palestinians having been killed, maimed or gone missing, presumed dead under mountains of rubble. The scale of death and devastation is truly horrifying. That so much of the Western world has turned a blind eye to this carnage is shameful and it's shocking. These same countries will criticise Ireland and Spain and Norway for the action they've taken today. Their hollow criticisms have no credibility. Any country which provides weapons being used to slaughter 15,000 children has abandoned not only the rule of law, but any shred of moral authority. The Israeli ambassador has been recalled to Israel. All I can say to that is good. Her presence at our famine commemoration at the weekend, while Israel uses starvation as a weapon of war in Gaza, was grotesque. Ireland should not be facilitating apologists for genocide. Taoiseach, after many months of inaction, international institutions are finally beginning to act. Israel stands accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice. The UN Security Council has issued a resolution calling for a ceasefire, and the International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Hamas leaders and the Israeli Prime Minister and Defence Minister. Here in Ireland, we must continue to increase the pressure on Israel to end this war. Taoiseach, I commend the Government for recognising the State of Palestine. Will you now take the next step and enact the Occupied Territories Bill and the Illegal Israeli Settlement Divestment Bill, and commit to enforcing any ICC warrants issued against Israel and Hamas leaderships?
Deputy Kearns, Taoiseach.
I want to thank Deputy Kearns for her contribution. I want to acknowledge her long-standing support and that of her party for the recognition of the State of Palestine. Indeed, I'm proud to be Taoiseach in a country where I think there has been for a significant period of time a political consensus around the importance of this. We have division in this House on many occasions, that's right and proper in a Parliament, in a Dáil, but there are rare moments where I think we can be unified in speaking with one voice for the people of this country who wanted us to recognise the State of Palestine. And they don't do that naively, and they don't do it, as some of our critics say today, to a virtue signal. They do it because they passionately believe in a two-state solution. They do it because they believe that, forget for a moment governments and political figures, they believe that the people of Israel and the people of Palestine have a right to live side by side in two states in peace and in security. And if you believe in a two-state solution, it's important that you recognise the existence of two states. So you said you wished it happened sooner, and I can understand why you would say that. So it was always our wish, and I believe the wish of other countries who've recognised Palestine today, to move as part of a peace process. But sadly, we're at a time where a just and comprehensive peace settlement seems further away than ever, perhaps, and you can't wait forever to recognise the State of Palestine. I'm really pleased that we managed to move in lockstep with some other countries, with Norway and with Spain. I think the three countries have powerful track records in history in terms of the Middle East and wanting to see peace and wanting to see a two-state solution. And I expect other countries to now follow. in the coming weeks, and indeed you'll have heard a number of other countries in recent weeks indicate their wish to follow, but they all have, respectful of the fact that everyone has their own national processes as well. In relation to the International Criminal Court, firstly, I mean, Ireland respects the work of the court. I am conscious that the prosecutor has sought a certain position, and now I believe the judges of the criminal court need to make a decision on that, and I don't wish to cut across that. But Ireland will obviously always abide by the rules of the International Criminal Court, as I would expect to be the case. In relation to the issue of the Occupied Territories Bill, and we debate and discuss this on a regular basis, there is clear legal advice to the government on this, and that legal advice in short is that trade agreements are a European competency. But I am continuing to push at a European level, and I say it very honestly here, I am continuing to push at the European level, as my predecessor did, as the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez does, for the review of the association agreement, because it does have human rights clauses in it, and the human rights clauses weren't in it to put nice flowery language or to pad it out or to make it longer. They're real and meaningful words, and I am frustrated that we have not yet been successful in persuading people of the merits of the need for that review, and we continue that work.
Taoiseach, Deputy Kearns.
Taoiseach, government representatives have been telling us that the Occupied Territories Bill is contrary to EU law since 2020, but you've refused to clarify a really important point. I'm wondering if you've sought updated legal advice to reflect the fact that we're now witnessing a genocide unfold before our eyes, because that can and that should change the legal advice and allow the government to enact this important bill. Israel shouldn't be entitled to slaughter with impunity and maintain normal trade and diplomatic sanctions. Things have changed. We should also be doing everything we can at EU level to stop this carnage, and you mentioned what you're doing at EU level. The EU's inaction in the face of these horrors inflicted on the people in Gaza is shameful, and Israel's cheerleaders in the EU, like outgoing Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, have created a permanent stain on the EU's reputation. So, Taoiseach, I think what's important to people is to know, can you clarify if you've sought updated legal advice on the Occupied Territories Bill, and can you confirm that Fine Gael MEPs are going to support another term for Ursula von der Leyen as the European President Commission?
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
So I have got recent legal advice. I'm happy to share with you the date of the most recent legal advice. I don't have it to hand, but I'm very happy to share that with you, Deputy Kearns, because we have engaged in this in good faith. I do believe at a European level we had a significant breakthrough at the last European Council meeting, which was the first one I was honoured to attend in April, where the unanimous conclusions were a call for an immediate ceasefire. That had not been the unanimous position. Myself and Minister Carl McNeill were in Brussels for that, and that includes the view of the President of the European Commission, President von der Leyen. We want to see an immediate ceasefire, an immediate cessation of violence. We want to see an immediate release of all the hostages. We want to see unimpeded access to humanitarian aid. But I do think we also have to ask ourselves this point in Europe and in other parts of the world. If we want to see all of these things, what must we do to create the environment to bring it about, and what levers are at our disposal? And that's why I continue to pursue, on behalf of this country, the need for a review of the association agreement on the basis of its human rights clauses, because trade agreements are decided at a European level, and I believe that review is the most appropriate way to take it forward. Can I also just very finally say this, Ceann Comhairle, because critics of our country will seek to misrepresent our views, all of our views in relation to this. And I think it's important to say on the floor of this House that we deplore Hamas, that we see it as a terrorist organisation, that we can differentiate between a terrorist organisation and the people of a country. And this country can do that better than most, because we know what it's like to live in a country where a terrorist organisation tries to hijack your national identity.
Thank you, Taoiseach.